Hello, and as always, I thank you for coming to my show, Tell It Like It Is. I'm your host, Morrisman, and my co-host is.
Joseph Spencer.
And today we're going to do a pretty interesting topic, and we're going to do this. And the topic is, because actually how this topic came to light was, well, one of my listeners or viewers out there see me out on the street, and they said, "Why don't you do a show on this?" And it was a pretty good idea, so I thank you for that suggestion. And the name of this show is Michael Jackson and OJ Simpson, Innocent or Guilty. So I'm going to give you my verdict, and I'm going to explain to you why I gave you my verdict, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe. He's going to give you his verdict. So the first one we're going to tackle is OJ Simpson, and this is not going to take too long. First of all, let me just say this. Our hearts go out to the Ryan Goldman family and the Nicole Simpson family, because I can't imagine any of my family members meeting that kind of fate. It's hard enough to mourn them when they die from natural causes, but to have someone just viciously murder your family members, yeah, I can't imagine that. So again, our hearts go out to those families for what happened. But also, let me say this before I get into the verdict of O.J. Simpson. Unfortunately, it's one of those cases where racism reared its ugly head. And a lot of people got blindsided from reality because of the black and white thing. And let me just say this, that regardless if O.J. Simpson was a black or white man, the verdict I'm about to give you is just based on logic. It would be the same if O.J. Simpson was a white guy. So it has nothing to do with the fact that he was a black guy accused of killing two white people. My opinion, because unfortunately, again, a lot of people out there, they base their opinion on that as opposed to what really actually happened or who actually murdered these people. And it's pretty simple. Most of us have never been to a crime scene, so they don't know what's entailed as far as what to see. When you come onto the scene and you see people either already expired or expiring. And I was an EMT for 10 years, so unfortunately, I've been to many crime scenes, more than I can even remember, because some of them still haunt me in my dreams. So, the average person has no idea as far as, what takes place or the visual there, because Ryan Goldman and Nicole Simpson were stabbed to death, so they bled to death. And like I said, most people have not been to a crime scene. And if you were to attend a crime scene or be present at one, and someone died from that fate as opposed to being shot, you got blood everywhere. So it's pretty logical and pretty simple when you remove your prejudice and bias and racism as far as you think that a black man, OJ, killed these white people. If you just take that out the equation and look at it for what it was, it's almost literally impossible for me to come up from behind you, Joe, with a knife and stick you and cut your artery and you bleed to death, that I don't get any blood on me.
None.
It's going to be a blood bath. And not only, he's accused of killing one person that way, he was accused of killing two people that way in that one instance. So it's almost impossible for him to not have been drenched in blood, stepping all over blood. And then let's just say, for the sake of this debate, that he managed to discard the bloody clothes if he did do it. But here's the problem with that. When you get in your car to go home, you got blood all over your car. You got blood footprints on the carpet. You got blood on the dashboard, blood on the steering wheel. And as we know, that there were only 2 small drops of blood found in the O.J. Simpson car. And even if he went home and tried to clean it up with the technology we got now, we could determine that there was a lot of blood here before you cleaned up the mess. So just based on that alone, O.J. Simpson is innocent. So I'm not even gonna go into more detail, because that's just enough to say logically, scientifically, it was almost impossible for him to kill 2 people, not get any blood on him, and the car doesn't have any blood on it, other than a couple of drops that they say that the police officers planted, which I tend to believe, because again, I've been to crime scenes, and you running from the crime scene, you bloody, and you get in your car, you got blood everywhere. There was no blood in his car other than the drops. So, again, OJ Simpson, he's innocent.
Like he said, I've never been to a crime scene, but I'm a hunter, and I have the misfortune. Sometimes when you shoot a deer, they go down from the impact to the ground. And when you get ready to dress them, they don't be dead. And when you want your animal to bleed out a little bit, you cut that artery. And if the animal's not dead, blood's everywhere.
Yeah, because the heart's still pumping.
Like
shooting out that blood. Yeah.
The way society is set, that when a white woman, especially white women, especially at that time, still.
That's the worst person to kill in this country.
Right.
Because you get the most time if you kill a white woman. When I think that, regardless of your skin color, if you committed a crime, you're doing time. It shouldn't be that if I kill a black woman, I get 10 years. I kill a white woman, I'm getting life.
You're getting life.
That just lets you know, just from that example, that our system views certain people in this country different or more higher value than others, which is unfair.
Well, number one, it was a high-profile case.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I hit Rush Street when around 16, 17 years old, and most of the Caucasian girls who went out with black men were considered as whores anyway. People on the street were saying, the co-workers, oh, you've been going with a black, she's a whore, she's no longer part of our society. But since it was a high-profile case, they wanted to crucify this man. Like you said, to cut two people's throat, how come one of them didn't run off?
Yeah, that's another thing, because like I said, I didn't want to get really into detail, but you're right. How can you, because it takes a moment to literally knife somebody. As opposed to a gun, I walk up to you and shoot you, less than a couple seconds, you're dead.
So to me, there would have to be two people wielding knives. Yeah,
because who's hanging around until the other person get dusted off?
Right.
Somebody to take off running or run to the assistance of the other person. Right. So that's another good point.
If you cut the male's throat first, the female's going to start screaming.
Exactly.
They're going to start screaming.
And they live in a quiet community, so a scream in the middle of the night would draw a lot of attention.
A lot of attention.
As opposed to in certain poor areas where gunshots are common in the middle of the night. Yeah. It doesn't bother the people that live there anymore because they hear it every night.
Every night.
So.
And another thing, most high-profile, wealthy neighborhoods, even at that time, have cameras.
Yeah. And police patrol.
Police patrol.
Yeah.
Right.
Police patrol.
And not to be negative, I found out a long time that there are several things that don't mix. Is white girls, money, and cocaine. There's always jealousy about money. There are black men out here jealous because they can't get no white woman. There are white men out here to say, why is this in? I'm not going to say in.
Yeah, I know
why
is this in? And our audience know what you mean.
Blah, 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 this, that, and the other.
Because that's still not totally accepted, interracial.
Right.
And we've had a show on that where, we talked about it, and it's none of my business, and I don't have a problem with it, because it's about loving the individual as a person as opposed to the color of their skin.
Yeah,
but what's your verdict?
My verdict is that this man did not kill these people.
I don't think he did
it physically impossible to do it.
And then, like I said, the blood thing. Just based on the blood thing, it's like, no.
And the way it was done,
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't never stabbed somebody, but I would go for the heart and not the throat.
Yeah.
And they were talking about this tongue through the opening and stuff. That take time to do.
Yeah. So let's move on. So we've already gave our verdict on OJ. I say that he's not guilty as well, and you say he's not guilty. Okay, moving on to Michael Jackson, which might take a moment here because this one's a little more detailed. Michael Jackson had been accused of molesting two young boys. And my verdict is guilty, and I'm going to tell you why. From an early age, I've been trained and reared to follow patterns or look at patterns. And here's a good example of that. I've been driving a Cadillac all my life. All of a sudden I just say, you know what, I want to buy a Buick this year. So I buy a Buick, and I notice now all these Buicks on the road. And it's not like they just appeared there. They've always been there, but I had no reason to focus in on them. So, it's just, it was a thing of, I didn't pay attention because I had no reason to. But as far as patterns when it comes to human behavior, and this is something that I observed when I was a kid. And there were two individuals, and I'm not giving names or telling them names, but I was probably maybe 17, 18 years old, and this guy was probably about 19. And around that age is when you kind of really discover girls. You know, you're dating and, you know, your occupation is chasing girls, you know. That's just a natural behavior for young men. And this guy had no interest in women, which doesn't mean that he's gay or pedophile, but what struck me and my other friends as unusual was he was always hanging around these little kids. And it's like, what better way to be in a position where people don't question your motives or what you're doing. And what I mean by that is the majority of those people find occupations like rec supervisors at parks for be around little kids and planning activities. Nobody thinks twice about that because somebody has to do it. But this guy was doing it, and we noticed that, you know, no interest in girls, never had a girlfriend, always around these little kids. And it's like, what's up with that? And Michael Jackson's MO is very similar. And what throws a lot of red flags up with Michael Jackson is, for one, he cannot really be romantically linked to no women. Even though he was married to 2 women, that was just kind of more or less PR nonsense.
Yeah,
now,
I believe so.
Now, Elvis Presley's daughter, I do believe she loved him and she married him for the reason of loving him. But she said it herself, and you guys can pull it up on YouTube and Oprah Winfrey interview, because that's what I love about Lisa Marie Presley. She just tell it like it is, you know. And she basically said that I was in love with Michael Jackson and he lied to me. You know, our marriage was a lie. Michael Jackson very manipulative, and whatever he wants, he gets, you know. And once she realized that her marriage was built on BS, she left, you know. And the other woman he married supposedly had 2 kids by her. Then the 3rd child, no one still to this day knew who's the mother is. He never consummated the marriage the old-fashioned way. He claimed that the 2 kids were his biologically. He had his wife artificially inseminated. Why would you do that if that's your wife? Second, we found out later in the interview, well, he said that in the interview, but we found out after his death that the sperm came from his wife's boss. His wife boss was a dermatologist. And that's how Michael Jackson met his second wife, through going there for skin treatment. He married his dermatologist secretary. And it was later discovered after Michael Jackson passed away that the sperm that got her impregnated came from the dermatologist, not Michael Jackson. So that's a clear lie. And you ask yourself, why do anybody have to lie? And it's quite obvious, to cover up the truth, because he wasn't telling the truth. So, you know, when you got people lying to you about certain things, you got to kind of start questioning why they lying. And unfortunately, you know, Michael Jackson had a lot of people on payroll that kept their mouth closed. But I'm going to try to make this short, and then, you know, I'm going to turn it back over to you. But I remember when he went to the awards with Brooke Shields, and he had Emmanuel Lewis on his arm like a little monkey. And Michael Jackson said that this was his quote-unquote date. And the very next day, Brooke Shields released a statement saying, we weren't dating, we just friends. So she was kind of bagging off that nonsense to say, I'm not about to get caught up in this because we ain't dating, we ain't screwing, you know, so don't even try that. But, you know, for many years, Michael Jackson has been lying to people, has been telling things that aren't true. Just some weird things is going on in his life that you have to question. Because here's a very good-looking man with a load of money and literally have to fight women off, but he had never been romantically linked. But again, that doesn't mean that he's gay or he's a pedophile. But the fact that he had to lie to people about his children, his relationship with his convenience marriages, you know, so that just leads me to believe that guilty, you know,
Well,
guilty.
If I had any friends that were pedophilias, I don't know about it, but I've had several homosexual friends.
Yeah, which is different.
Men and women.
Right, which is different. 2 consenting adults doing 2 adult types of things.
The lesbian women I knew and the homosexual men I knew, they had no interest in children.
No.
You know, because they weren't pedophiles.
Exactly, because there's a difference between homosexuality and being a pedophile.
Right.
You know, and no one in our society, for the most part at this point, which is good, they don't think twice about that. You know, these are two grown people. If they want to love each other, it's nobody's business.
I don't understand.
But when you're messing with kids, it's
I
against
don't
the law.
understand why these children's parents would allow their children, I don't care who he is, who's not a real close.
Good point.
Personal
And here's the
friend
answer
and
to that
family
question. When you
or
got
relative.
money, you can bow for a lot of people that are struggling. And that's what Michael Jackson did. He targeted people that were struggling.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, what's the word I'm looking
So,
for?
there's a possibility these people were renting their kids out
Yeah.
to this man.
Paid to shut him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so
I met him once, and I just thought he was gay, you know, or either was just effeminate. There are men out here
yeah.
who are not
They have
gay,
feminine
they have
ways. Right,
feminine
but they're not
ways.
gay and they're not pedophiles.
Right.
But, you know, it's just a lot of things that, because we love him as an entertainer, that we want to overlook. And it's just, we can't do that. You know, I think that he had a soft spot in his heart for children, and he did help them. But I think that he was using that to justify what he was doing, to say, okay, well, I'm taking care of them, so it should be a big deal that, you know, when ain't nobody looking, I'm sticking them off to my bedroom.
You know, I got nieces and nephews. I have children also. But I don't think I'm going to go take a nap with an 8, 9-year-old or a 7-year-old and cuddle up with them. Now, 2 or 3, maybe. You know, it all depends what kind of relationship I have with this child. You know, like a child, sometimes they can't sleep. I would lay them on my chest or be close to them to give them some kind of comfort.
Yeah. But he was a predator. That was the word I was looking for. Predator. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Because here's the logical man's thinking.
You know, when you
Let me just make this point before I forget it. Here's the logical man's way of thinking. I'm doing something that's inappropriate and I don't realize it. Somebody pulls me to the side and say, hey, this doesn't look good, so you need to stop. You stop. Michael Jackson was accused the first time. That should have been a wake-up call to say, let me tone this down or shut it down. He was accused the second time. So it's like, come on. But, you know, we weren't there, but this is our opinion. And we're going to wrap the show up. And as always, I thank you guys for coming to my show. I'm Morrisman, your host, and my co-host.
Joseph Spencer.
Until next time, keep thinking.
Be blessed.